What if the Avengers never actually fixed the timeline in Endgame? Everyone believes Steve Rogers returned the Infinity Stones to their original places. But in this theory, something went wrong, something so small the Avengers didn't notice, but so huge that the universe itself felt it. Infinity Stones aren't simple objects. They're cosmic beings tied to destiny, created together and meant to stay balanced. And when they were removed from time, used in a new future, and then sent back, they changed. Once a stone sees a different future, it can't just go back and pretend nothing happened. So when Steve returned them, the stones didn't truly merge with their original timelines. Instead, they split, creating copies, echoes of themselves. The originals remained where they were destined to be. But the ones Steve carried became unanchored. They drifted between realities, no longer belonging to any single universe. And someone felt that disturbance instantly. Dr. Doom. Doom had been monitoring cosmic energy for years. He could detect tiny irregularities the Avengers and even sorcerers missed. The moment Steve returned the stones, Doom sensed something impossible. 6 powerful anomalies floating outside of any timeline. To Doom, this was the discovery of a lifetime. These versions of the stones were completely free, unbound, by the rules that limit normal ones. They could move between realities without destroying them. They could unlock multiversal power on a scale Thanos never imagined. Doom began hunting them. Each stone responded differently. Some were calm, some were violent, but all of them felt aware. They remembered being wielded by Thanos, by Tony, by the Avengers. And when Doom reached out, the first stone reacted almost like it recognized him. Piece by piece, Doom gathered the displaced stones. And once he had all 6, he realized they were more powerful together than the originals had ever been. But they also had a flaw. Each stone had lived a different path, learned different things, and they didn't fully agree with each other. They resisted Doom when he tried to force them to unite. Still, he believed he could master them. After all, Doom's mind was as dangerous as any weapon. Meanwhile, small cracks started appearing in the Avengers world. Minor time distortions, strange energy pulses, destroyed stones whispering back to life. A growing sense that something out there was bending reality itself. The Avengers didn't know it yet, but Doom was preparing to test the power of the stones the universe was never meant to have. Doom believed he had everything under control. 6 stones that existed outside destiny gathered in his hands. But the moment he tried to use them together, the multiverse pushed back. Time stuttered. Space wavered. Entire moments flickered like a glitching screen. The stones didn't fight Doom. They fought each other. Each one carried memories from a different version of events, different timelines, different future paths, and those memories clashed. Yet Doom wasn't shaken. He saw this chaos not as failure but as proof of their potential. If these stones could evolve, then he could shape that evolution. And Doom had never feared the impossible. While he worked to tame them, the Avengers began to feel the consequences. Doctor Strange noticed the flow of time didn't feel smooth anymore, as if time itself was nervous. Bruce Banner picked up energy spikes identical to the energy from the snap, but coming from nowhere. And Wanda felt reality trembling beneath her feet every time she dreamt. Smithing Massive was moving in the dark. The first true fracture appeared when 2 versions of the same event happened at once. Reports came in of New York seeing a Chitauri Leviathan appear in the sky, only for it to vanish seconds later, replaced by a different version of the creature from a different timeline. Even people's memories disagreed about what they'd seen. The Avengers gathered, confused and alarmed. The multiverse wasn't just unstable, it was blending. And still, Doom pushed forward. He discovered something terrifying. The more he tried to align the stones, the more they began to merge with him. Their memories, their perspectives, their experiences started whispering in his mind. He wasn't just wielding the stones, he was absorbing fragments of the realities they came from. But Doom's pride didn't allow him to stop. He believed he could rewrite everything, erase chaos, eliminate randomness, impose perfect order. What he didn't realize was that the universe itself had grown aware of him, and something ancient began to awaken. Not a person, not a creature, something older than the stones, something that existed before time, something that only appears when the balance of all realities is threatened. This entity watched Doom and prepared to intervene. The Avengers didn't know about Doom yet, but they felt the presence of something approaching, a Yossi storm gathering across every universe at once. Strange warned that the multiverse was behaving like a wounded animal. Banner said someone was using the timeline like a weapon, and Wanda sensed a mind so powerful it felt like a second universe pressing against hers. But none of them were ready for what was coming. because Doom had finally succeeded in forcing the stones into temporary alignment. And the moment he activated them, the universe screamed. A shockwave tore through creation. Realities bent in directions they were never meant to move. Alternate versions of heroes flickered into existence and disappeared. Worlds merged, then snapped apart. The Avengers saw shadows of themselves, versions from timelines where they died, where they lived, where they changed, overlapping reality like echoing reflections. Doom's experiment didn't just destabilize the multiverse. It awakened something that had been asleep since the birth of time. And that something had started moving toward Doom. And the Avengers? When Doom forced the displaced stones into alignment, the blast echoed across every universe like the toll of a cosmic bell. And something answered that bell. The ancient Presence Awakening wasn't a villain or a monster. It was the original, multiversal defense system. A primordial force that activates only when the balance of existence tips too far. A being older than the Celestials, older than the stones themselves. A force known in forbidden texts only as the one who watches the first light. Its purpose was simple: eliminate whatever disrupts reality's core structure. And Doom had become that disruption. The entity emerged not into one universe, but into all of them at once. It didn't speak. It didn't reason. It simply moved through realities like a silent storm. And every universe it crossed trembled. Doom had always believed he could calculate any threat. But this was beyond calculation. It wasn't a mind. It was law. It was the universe's immune system. The Avengers felt it moving long before they saw it. Strange sensed timelines collapsing like dominoes falling in every direction. Banner realized quantum readings were dropping towards zero. The signature of universes being erased. Wanda felt a presence so ancient it made her powers flicker with fear. And at the center of all this, Doom stood with the stones glowing violently in his gauntlets. He finally understood the truth. The displaced stones were never meant to exist. Steve's mistake didn't just cause anomalies. It created an object the universe considered an infection. And Doom, bound to the stones, was now considered part of that infection. But Doom didn't run. He had never bowed to any force, mortal or cosmic. Instead, he did the unthinkable. He pushed the stones past their limits, forcing them not to shape reality, but to hold it, like trying to catch an avalanche with his bare hands. The stones screamed. Doom strained. The entity advanced, and every universe shook under the pressure. The Avengers realized that if Doom fell, the anomaly wouldn't end. The universe would continue erasing everything touched by the displaced stones, including timelines the Avengers needed to exist. Reality collapsing wouldn't stop at Doom. It would keep going until all multiverses were corrected. They didn't have to defeat Doom. They had to save him. Strange opened a portal to the collapsing multiverse where Doom battled the entity. Wanda stabilized the opening with raw chaos magic. Banner calculated the only solution. The stones had to be separated permanently, so they would no longer act as a single multiversal threat. And only one person had ever successfully separated the stones without dying. Wanda. She reached through the storm of energy surrounding Doom, her powers tearing through collapsing timelines. Doom resisted, shouting that no one could take this power from him. But Wanda didn't take it. She split it. One by one, the displaced stones shattered into pure energy, scattering back into the multiverse like sparks from a dying star. And the entity stopped. The infection was gone. Reality began to restore itself. The multiverse breathed for the first time in what felt like eternity. Doom collapsed, exhausted, defeated not by a hero, but by the very laws of existence. For once he had been shown a force even greater than his own ambition, and he vanished into a portal of his own making, vowing that the universe had not seen the last of him. When the Avengers returned home, the distortions faded, the echoes disappeared, and the timeline settled back into place. Steve's mistake had been undone, but not erased. The universe remembered. It always remembers. And somewhere in a quiet corner of Latveria, Doom began drafting new plans. Plans built not on stones, but on something far more dangerous. Knowledge. Because Doom now knew what scared the universe itself. And he intended to use it. The story ends, but the threat does not.